All right, we are live. I believe we are live now. Welcome everybody to my channel, and I have my recurring guest here. And all right, we are live. I believe we are live now. I gotta actually turn that volume on. This is the thing about technology, is that I'm still learning some things, and I'm here with Ann Parnez, and we are talking about dating tips in New Orleans and really some first date ideas. I'm going to talk about general first date ideas, but it's always great when a matchmaker in the local city can talk about, recommended spots for dating in New Orleans specifically. So, Anne, welcome back to my channel.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course. So Anne, let's talk about, first of all, you've been to I assume you've been to different cities, but I'm wondering, have you dated out? I mean, let me backtrack. Have you dated outside of New Orleans, or have you only ever in your adult life sort of dated in the New Orleans market? I want to know if you can talk a little bit about whether you see a kind of difference of dating in New Orleans versus maybe another city.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's been a long time since I've lived anywhere else and been single. So I can't speak. I did live in DC for a while and certainly had a lot of girlfriends who went through that dating process there, and have heard lots of stories. But honestly, I don't know that there's much of a difference no matter where you go. It really seems to me about people and connecting. I think we live in the best city, and I think we have so many amazing romantic spots for dates. Yes. But as far as that dating dynamic, I think that's going to be pretty consistent, I would think, around the country.
Awesome. Well, I'm very excited to hear about some first date ideas and date spots in New Orleans. Where would you like to start?
Well, I don't know about you, but when I set people up, I typically recommend going, kind of low investment, not in terms of money or anything like that, but just more in terms of time. You just don't know what that connection is going to look like. And so not feeling that pressure of, oh gosh, I have to sit through a 3-course dinner. And some people really aren't comfortable ordering a 3-course dinner the first time they meet. So to me, it's like, why not pick a place where you can get 1 or 2 drinks? I always say 2 drinks should be the max, and get a few light bites. And if you're having a great time, you can sit there and keep ordering. And if you're not, well, then, 45 minutes and a cocktail never hurt anybody. And for those who don't drink, there's great coffee shops in New Orleans also. In fact, there's one called The Vintage that has both. You can have a cocktail, you can have a cup of coffee. So I feel like that's a really nice spot so that anybody can sort of pick their poison, so to speak.
Yeah, I like that. You can either start with alcohol and then sober up, but again, two drink maximum. I completely agree with you. Or you can, kick it up with the caffeine, make it nice and light, or maybe it's a day date, which is a little different than an evening date. So I really do like that. I like your suggestion about having your first date sort of be timed. I heard you mention something about 45 minutes. Is that kind of your golden rule with respect to what amount of time should be invested in a first date?
Yeah, there's no hard or fast rules, of course, but I think 45 minutes to an hour, you should get a pretty good idea if you can enjoy that person's company enough to go out again. And if it's awkward, then anybody could probably make it through 45 minutes without too much difficulty. I'm sure that when you set people up and I set people up, we make sure there's some common ground. And even if you meet on an app, there should be enough there already to where you can have certain topics to talk about for 45 minutes, learn something new, enjoy yourself, enjoy your cocktail, enjoy your coffee. And, either it works out for a second date or it doesn't, and it's no big deal.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about body language and positioning when you are going out on either that coffee date or that bar date, like a drinks date. Number one, it's always best when you are not sitting across from each other. So if you can find yourself round table versus a square table directly opposite, that's a tip that I like to share with my clients. The other thing is if it is a 4-person table, sit across, like sit side by side, so you're not across, because it really feels interviewy. And then if you do feel like there's this connection, there's something about this proximity, being able to maybe, gently touch the arm or touch the wrist. of course, you've got to be mindful of the other person, right? You don't want to be creepy at any time. And I'm not just addressing males. It can happen both ways. And then finally, if you are going to a bar for drinks, I like the idea of sitting side by side at the bar versus, because then you're like, actually talking to each other. It's close enough. And again, it's just really trying to avoid that already nervous situation. And now it's like, we're on an interview. You're directly across from me and you're like, oh, this feels kind of weird. Have you heard of that, Anne?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I try to choose spots where that's an option. And it also, you have the same scenic points, right? So you can discuss things that you see a little bit more if you're sitting,
right,
and talking about the cocktail that they're making. Exactly.
Yeah.
You're looking over each other's head at whatever might be happening, and it's distracting. So I agree.
That.
I think that's ideal. And it makes it easier to have a little bit of physical contact and flirtation. Like you said, if your leg brushes theirs, if somebody doesn't move it, that could be encouraging or a sign that they're comfortable with that, which is a lot easier than having to really
reach over.
Yes, and look deliberate. Right.
Yeah, exactly. There is no hiding that, right? It's just, that's crazy. All right. So let's talk about what are other date ideas that you would have? I do agree that the light bite and drink is sort of the go-to for people. What are some of your other suggestions?
Yeah. So I think ambiance is really important. Like in that movie, The Little Mermaid, I don't know if you remember when they have the two in the canoe with the first kiss.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Love that scene.
Yes,
Kiss the girls playing in the background. But so no, we don't do that. But we have a lot of like beautiful rooftop bars in New Orleans. Uptown, we have at the Pontchartrain Hotel. I'm blinking on the name all of a sudden. I go there, Hot Tin. And then downtown we have hotels like the Ace that has a beautiful rooftop area. So those are always great options, and you can get some bites downstairs and come up and get a cocktail upstairs. We've got like really wonderful well-lit patios. Boulony Tavern is a really popular spot that I like uptown in New Orleans. There is, Plucked in the Warehouse District, which is a wonderful wine bar, and it's quiet enough to where you can talk. And there's kind of the low dim light. Bakery Bar is another one. You can just grab dessert if you wanted, or some appetizers and some drinks. So we've got no shortage of places that you can sit and with a fun vibe and get to know each other.
Well, I'm going to try to hit up all those places when I come and see you. And I'm already so excited to go on multiple dates with you now. Those are great ideas. I love the recreation of that boat scene where, it actually caused the serpents to tip the boat because it was going so well. I think that when you create these experiences, the romance, it's the tone, it's the mood, it is the music, the menu, right? The staff. I think what I love about and appreciate what you're just saying, for me, it's like, if you've gotten to know your date, then, and you're the person who's suggesting, and again, it could be man, it could be woman, suggesting and curating that perfect spot that the person that you want to impress and that you want to have a good time is just going to be wowed by that experience, is really, really cool. It's kind of like that subtle, I think it's like a ninja dating move to be able to do that to somebody. I love it.
Yeah, I can't wait till you come here to show you all of our amazing places. And I just thought of another that I really can't wait to take you to, called Bar Marilou. And it's just very sexy. The design is amazing. Everywhere you look, it's just, kind of like a very cool lighting, and the vibe is just amazing. Good food, good drinks. So yes,
I
we
love
have lots
that.
to visit.
And one tip that I'll provide for not just dating in New Orleans, but really anywhere. If you tell from what Anne is saying, you seem to be really familiar with the different places. So you kind of you have an edge there, in that where to take somebody based on the vibe or the time, or maybe it's happy hour. So I really recommend you do your research. If you don't reviews are one thing. Look at the Google reviews, look at the menu, call the restaurant if you have to, ask them about the environment. Is it loud? Is it not loud? I had a recent client share with me most recently that he didn't pick the right place and really regretted the choice because the place he picked was super loud. It was so busy. It didn't allow for any kind of connection. So it kind of blew up in his face because it's like, hey, how are you? Nice to meet you. And it didn't create any romantic vibes. So it's really good for you to do the research. The other thing that I like to research is where's parking, right? Where's there parking? Is it paid parking? Is it like a 5 mile, like not a 5 mile walk? Is it a 5 minute walk? Like maybe I'm wearing heels. Is there valet? Because this is the kind of stuff that I like to find out because when you're thinking about getting there on time, you got to be mindful of transportation. You've got to be mindful of parking. And then we don't take cash anymore, right? And there's sometimes it's like, we only take $20. I'm like, who has $20? I don't have $20. You know what I mean? Like you got to really, again, know the details so that you just aren't scrambling last minute and you don't know what the details are for the restaurant. That's a tip that I have.
Yeah, so you don't show up all flustered and rushing and
Yeah,
making that impression and just not feeling like yourself. I think that's a great idea. Yeah, give yourself plenty of time, be prepared, and try to be as on time as you possibly can, particularly for the guys. I hate to say it, and certainly I don't think women should be late, but it always feels worse when I know that there's a woman waiting, right? One of my clients or a date waiting there.
Oh yeah. We don't like that, gentlemen.
Nobody likes it.
Nobody likes it. Nobody likes
Nobody
it.
likes it.
I think here's the thing on that tip. If you know you're even going to be a minute late, have the courtesy. It be in communication, in the parking lot, finding parking. I'm here. Like give me 5 minutes running behind. The soonest that you have any inkling that you're going to be late, please have the courtesy of giving your date plenty of heads up so that they're not rushing, because maybe they're on the same timetable and now they can relax a little bit, or there could be already anxious going, oh my gosh, is this a no-show? Are they going to show up? Like that just cures gets rid of any of those fears. So question for you, Anne, are there any date spots? What would you recommend for people who don't want to do your typical, drink and dinner? And this probably is seasonal, but it's kind of cold still. What are some things to possibly do or nice places to visit in New Orleans for a first date if they're not wanting to do the traditional sit down and share some food?
Yeah, I can't believe it's cold where you are in Toronto. We are
Is it not cold there?
Oh gosh, no, it's 81 degrees and humid, and we're pretty warm down here.
I'm hopping on a plane right now. Are you kidding me? That's amazing. Okay.
Yeah, you should. So yeah, I mean, obviously there's so many options, and typically for second, third, fourth dates, I have lots more suggestions, but we've got great places like that you can just stroll around. The first Saturday of every month, there's something called First Saturdays where all of our art galleries are open in the evening on Julia Street, and there's like restaurants and bars, and so you can hop into galleries and then maybe go sit at a bar and have a light bite again. And if it's during the day and it's a beautiful day, we've got the sculpture garden in City Park, which is amazing, and that's wonderful because you have something to talk about. You can comment on the sculptures. And right next door, if you want to continue the date, there's the coffee shop, Cafe Du Monde, have some beignets, get white powdered sugar all over you. So that's always super fun. There's festivals, obviously living in New Orleans. We're about to enter that season. We've got French Quarter Fest in just a few weeks. Maybe it'll coincide with your visit, Carm. We've got Jazz Fest, which is huge and, a real commitment. So I don't know about first date because typically people are there for many hours.
Yeah.
Bayou Boogaloo right after that. So there's no shortage of festivals. And I think that's really fun to do together and just get to see kind of what that dynamic looks like. How does this person do in crowds? How do they do, and how do they like being outside? How much do you have in common?
What do you think of do you think anybody should ever do Mardi Gras together or any part of Mardi Gras together during a first date? What are your thoughts there? Because that seems to be like all the hype.
Yeah, for sure. The Mardi Gras that we experience in New Orleans is very different from what y'all see on the news.
Okay.
We don't, some people go, right. Yeah, no, it's been a while. Some people go down to the French Quarter and do all that, but it's typically tourists. And of course we have people who live in the warehouse district, but Uptown New Orleans, Warehouse District. It's wonderful to experience a parade together. Again, you can go grab dinner, drinks, or you can just get a drink and stand on the street. We've got great food trucks around. The parades themselves are awesome, and a great thing to do together. And you can meet up with friends, stroll along, and just see everybody that you know, and meet maybe your date's friends. He can meet yours and see each other in a different light. So yeah, I would definitely do it that way.
That brings up a good point. If you're doing Mardi Gras and it's like a little bit busy, maybe depending on how you met, like suggesting that you do it with a group of friends is kind of a cool idea, right? And again, I think that would be okay if you already kind of have that casual vibe and you're not trying to create this romantic experience, because I wouldn't associate Mardi Gras and romance per se, yeah. Is there anything else that you would add about, dating in New Orleans in particular, or maybe this is something you gotta try, or like what comes to mind?
Oh gosh, it's such a walkable city, at least the neighborhood. So I think even picking a neighborhood and exploring, going down to the Maroney, and we've got a great place that has you can get small plates and sit outside South Bacchanal, and has amazing music. Not the easiest to get a table there. So I think just making sure that everybody's okay with a little bit of flexibility. So that's super fun. And then we've got water, believe it or not, we've got the Mississippi River. So I live right by the Fly, what we call the Fly, and it's just the riverfront. And every afternoon people pull up blankets and chairs and get music. All
That
kinds
is so
of
cute.
just, yes, watch the sunset.
like
That's one of my favorite things.
Picnic date, bottle of
Picnic.
wine, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to drink the whole bottle, but that's cute. I love
Super
that.
cute. Yeah,
Okay.
Lake Pontchartrain, same thing, gorgeous body of water that definitely.
Do you guys have drive-in movies? Do you have a drive-in theater? Is that something that's in New Orleans?
We don't. We have outdoor theater called the Broadmoor, which is a great spot for to go. We've got concerts out there. We've got
outdoor meaning you park your car, or you sit in a chair and it's projected on an outdoor screen.
Yeah, you sit outside in a chair. I think nowadays, I'm not sure that they actually do movies outdoor. They have them indoor there, and I think they do more concerts now. I haven't been since COVID. So okay. I think things are changed a little bit. Let's see, what else do we have that's outside? We have just live music. That's not inside. We've got a ton, I'm sure that you've heard, a ton of great music venues. We've got a great club called Tipitina's. It's super famous. If you come here, we'll go. And right next door is an amazing restaurant called Mr. Mouse. So grabbing dinner, walking 2 blocks, seeing a show, super easy, super accessible, no stress here.
Okay. It sounds like New Orleans is one of the top fun places to have a first date, and that is so not fair for people in Toronto. I'm just kidding. That's so great. So it's really sounding like for dating in New Orleans, there is no shortage of ideas, and you can really create the mood, the experience, whether it's short and quick or super romantic or highly energetic. I love all of that. That's so great.
Yes, I can't wait to show you. We even have gondola rides. Not that I would recommend that for our first date, but I mean, we have the most beautiful romantic city. So I think it's wonderful to curate these dates.
I actually was looking on Google for some research on your city to prepare for our talk. And one of the searched words is New Orleans a romantic? Is it romantic? Is it a romantic place to go? So
yeah, I bet you like a history tour. We have haunted tours and history tours. The French Quarter is just such a romantic, sexy place with so much history that even going on one of those, and I think any of that would be a lot of fun for locals or tourists.
Well, you know what? All throughout this video, you've been name dropping a ton of restaurants, a ton of places, a ton of neighborhoods. So I'll make sure to include the transcript here, guys. I'll also make sure to post a list of Matchmaker and top choice for all of the different experiences. Want to thank you once again for joining me, and once again, just share with everybody the best way that they can connect with the New Orleans Matchmaker. If you're ever in New Orleans, where do they go?
Yeah, they can email me at Ann at matchnola, all one word, .com, Ann at matchnola.com. And I'd be happy to give any recommendations to anybody who's visiting. I love the city. And so I want to make sure that everyone has a safe, great time.
Well, pretty soon I'm going to be able to make those recommendations along with Anne because we are going to she's going to take me on a bunch of first dates and we're going to try a bunch of things and we'll report back